The way the code is currently written, deleting a student from their roster might be done accidentally if the user clicks or taps on the wrong button. There's no warning or confirmation requested. We need to ask the user to confirm the delete operation before it happens. Likewise, after a student is deleted, there's no indication that the action occurred other than the name disappearing from the list. We'll address both of these shortcomings soon. It's inconsiderate for an app to take a destructive action without at least warning the user. It's better to ask the user for confirmation, and that's what we'll do here. In the previous lesson, the handler for the delete button simply calls the delete student function. It would be better to get confirmation first. We can do that using an Ion alert. An Ion alert is a modal UI component that provides a simple warning to the user that something important is about to happen, and optionally provides a means to cancel it. Here's what I have in mind to implement the confirmation. As with all Ionic components, it renders with the appropriate look and feel on both Android and iPhone. At the top of the roster page, create a new hook to control the visibility of the alert. Inside of the action sheet, if you called delete student, replace that call with a call to the hook's setShowDeleteAlert function, passing true. If you skipped it, as I did, simply add the handler to call setShowDeleteAlert, passing true. Either way, the delete button's definition should now look like this. Now, when the user selects the delete button, instead of the student being deleted immediately, the Ion alert will appear. If you recall, there's another delete button on the page, the one inside the Ion item option. You want to place the same call to setShowDeleteAlert here as its onClick handler. To implement the alert itself, add an Ion alert component immediately after the Ion action sheet's closing tag. To display the alert, it will need an isOpen attribute set to the value of the showDeleteAlert variable. That's what that hook was for. Next, add an onDidDismiss attribute set to an arrow function to call setShowDeleteAlert, this time passing false. This will cause the alert to disappear. There are three attributes that control the text inside an Ion alert. The header attribute is a string that appears at the top of the alert. Use something like delete this student. The message attribute is the main body of the alert. Use a string such as this operation cannot be undone. The subheader attribute appears just inside the alert body. Set this attribute to a concatenation of the student's first and last names, so the user knows for sure exactly which student is about to be deleted. Finally, the alert needs an array of buttons. You define these buttons exactly the same way as you did for the action sheet. The first button is the delete button. It needs a handler that will delete a student, so provide an arrow function that simply calls the delete student function from before. We can do this because now we have confirmed that that's what the user wants to do. The second button should be a cancel button with the role of cancel, and it does not need a handler. And now don't forget to close your Ion alert tag or you'll have some compile problems. Save and check your work. If all went well, I've lost my mouse. If all went well, attempting to delete a student should no longer automatically do it. Instead, you'll get the alert asking you to delete or, in my case, never mind. Clicking that should dismiss the alert with no action taken. Only if you delete and then tell it again to delete will the student actually be deleted. Next, we'll create a small acknowledgement so that the user knows the student really was deleted. Many times, an application needs to provide a notification to the user that something has happened, but it's not so critical that you want to interrupt the flow of the application completely. Toast notifications fill that role perfectly. A toast is a small, unobtrusive pop-up informational banner. By convention, it should impart a short message that will appear for a brief amount of time before automatically disappearing. Some toast notifications also contain a way for the user to dismiss it early. Deciding whether or not to use a toast notification is simple. Does the message require the user to take action? Is it important if the user misses it? If the answer to both questions is no, then a toast notification is perfect. The Ionic implementation of a toast notification is the Ion Toast component. It is probably the most basic of all of Ionic's UI components. You can build one with very little effort. Its most basic form consists of a message and a duration. An Ion toast can be vertically positioned at the top, middle, or bottom of the screen. It is always horizontally centered. You can color them with the color attribute, providing any of the Ionic color constants or your own custom color. You can add buttons and icons. We won't be doing any of that. If you want to customize your Ion toast after you finish the lesson, feel free. At the top of the roster page, create another hook to use to control the visibility of the toast, just as we controlled the invisibility of the action sheet and the alert. Next, modify the delete student function to call the hook's set function immediately after the delete happens. Add an Ion toast tag immediately after the Ion alert tag. Exactly as with the Ion alert, it needs an isOpen attribute set to the value of the showDeleteToast hook variable and an onDidDismiss attribute set to call the hook's set function. Its message attribute should contain a short message indicating that the student has been deleted. Be as simple or as detailed as you want, but remember, shorter is usually better for a toast. The duration attribute controls how long the Ion toast will wait before it automatically dismisses itself. The duration is an integer and in milliseconds, so be careful not to specify a duration that's too short, and definitely don't pass a string. If you forget and omit the duration attribute, the toast will remain on the screen indefinitely, requiring user intervention to dismiss it. A toast's default position is vertically centered. I decided to move it to the top, but we'll leave the final decision to you. You can provide a buttons array to an Ion toast, just as you did with the Ion action sheet and Ion alert. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and add one. I'm choosing not to. Save the file and let the browser refresh. Now, when you delete a student, in addition to the student's name disappearing from the roster after you've done the confirmation, you'll also get the notification toast. If you want some ideas on how you can improve this experience, I provide some challenges later, right after the final video.